Welcome to a very special edition of the Middle East and Tyrone podcast. I'm joined today by an old friend of mine, Cahir Clancy, and we're going to talk about mental health today. As it's National Mental Health Week next week, so no better time. He works for a company called People First, where he has a role of a mentor, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But first of all, Cahir, welcome to the podcast. How's things?
What's the crack, Shaggy? Lovely to be on, and thanks for asking me to be on. How's things?
Yeah, all good, Cahir. As you know, just keeping safe, looking after 8 week year old or 8 weeks old child. So it's been nice that way. As I say, I haven't really noticed lockdown. I've been running after a
Aye,
newborn baby, so it's in a way it's been a bit of a blessing for me. What about yourself? How's
class.
lockdown treating you?
I have a 3-year-old here, a mad dog, and between that, between those two and work, keeping me busy, like keeping me young as well, but on my toes.
See, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Just keeping
Aye,
keeping busy. Right. So you know what? Let's just get into it. No point beating around the bush. So you work for a company called People First, and you have the role as a mentor. So what does that all entail?
see, to be honest, Shaggy, sometimes I don't even know myself. Uh, it's essentially, so people first they're like a training and education company, right? But
Okay.
essentially, my role involves working with all ages, so 16 plus really. It used to be 16 to 65, but it's 16 plus, and it's working with them like on a range of issues. So it could be someone that's like afraid to walk out the door,
Okay.
and it could be someone that has been high performing in their job for years, has taken a breakdown or taken some sort of a negative turn, and it's led them to needing assistance to get back on the horse again. You know what I mean? So my role is really breaking down those barriers and addressing them then through improving their mental well, improving their, I can't even say the word, improving their mental well-being, but as well as that, like just improving their general well-being, Shaggy. Like, so
Yeah.
all aspects, like financial. I'm not really I'm not really in a position to give physical well-being advice, but see the small things as well, Shaggy, like eating, sleeping, you
Yeah.
know, all those small things that can really contribute to your overall well-being. Like, so it's a deadly job, but it keeps you on your toes. Like every day is different.
And how long have you been involved doing this role, Cahir? Is it a new thing, or have you been doing it for a couple of years now, or what's the
So
crack with it?
I was working in Southwest. I was working in tech and again for a year. Uh, First of all, what I was doing, I actually, when I came out of uni, I'd done a master's in communication, and there's a good bit of psychology within that master's. So I wanted to work with people. That was my thing. But then myself and Dervla were expecting a child, so I was like, fuck the dream. Hey, I'm just gonna get a job here. So I got a pretty good job in my park working as like an account manager, commercial account manager, and it just fucking burnt me to the ground. Like,
Yeah.
just jumping onto the hamster wheel, running 100 miles an hour, 7 days a week, and done that for 3 years, I think, nearly 4 years, and then said, "Fuck this." Took a massive pay cut and moved into moved to Southwest College, to be a mentor. So essentially, the job that I'm doing now, for the TAC in Dungannon. So as you know yourself, in Dungannon, then I'd have been working with foreign nationals. The majority of the participants would have been foreign nationals, and then you would have been working with a lot of the young students as well. Like, so,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
done there, done there for a year, and then moved to People First, and I've been with People First for 3.5 years. Like, so it's
And
going well. Like, it's crazy, Shaggy. It's really flexible job. I love it, but at the same time, like, it really does put things into perspective for me.
yeah. And what are the most common causes? Or as in, I know it's very hard to say that this specific moment, this specific event happened to someone, and this is why they're maybe depressed, or this is why they have anxiety. But uh, what are the most common causes, and maybe something that the listeners can keep an eye out for? You know?
Oh, yeah, like there's so many things. Like the things that automatically come to my mind when you ask me that question, like there seems to be a culture. So the first thing that would come to mind is like our culture at the minute is set up. We have this unrealistic expectation, right? And caused by a number of things. So it's caused by social media. Number one, like you just need to fucking go on to Instagram
Well,
and see these. Going
do you
ahead.
see something? And I'm actually glad that you brought up social media because
Yeah,
that something that happened yesterday evening. Look, this isn't anything political. I'm not into politics or religion at all. But a very famous GAA player maybe had a slip of the tongue. Maybe could have phrased something a little bit better. And the whole and 90% of the community have just launched into online abuse of this man, a man
yeah,
that people that they would have, cheered him on Sundays playing for the M.E.A.T, cheered him on Sundays playing for Tyrone. I'm sure people can guess who this person is now. Um,
yeah.
but and it's little things like that, and I think that's a culture that you see it every day. Maybe almost a jealousy thing, but something like a slip of a tongue, like he had, and it's just completely. He's just been bombarded with abuse,
Unbelievable.
and they're calling his character into disrepute. Now, I actually know this guy, and he's always been okay to me. I don't think he's necessarily a bad person. I don't think he's quite political or anything like that.
Yeah,
So it really was just a general slip of the tongue. And he's just
yeah.
been bombarded with online abuse, and it's an absolute disgrace. But anyway, sorry, I sort of got sidetracked there. But
No,
yeah,
no. Here, robbed away, Shaggy. I was getting fired up there. Uh, like I can't like like no. There's two sides to this, right? So from my perspective, a lot of very traumatic things happened over like a 30 year period, say, right?
yeah,
A lot of people have a lot of anger, resentment, caused a lot of stress in people's lives and all the rest, right? But if we take this into context, as you said, right, he was on whoever it was on the Sunday game. Is that right? I
I
didn't
think it
even I
was.
didn't
Yeah,
even watch the clip, right? But as you said, a fucking Freudian slip. Like I mean, the amount of times like, and I don't have any political affiliations, like, but
yeah.
the amount of times that Northern Ireland has slipped out of my mouth and someone has corrected me, like, and I'm like, wait a fucking second, like, chill out,
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
grand scale of things, like, I mean, like, I don't know him, but yeah, I'm sure he's not a fucking bad lad,
yeah. He's
and
not at all.
you know, like sometimes, like, I have so. What really gets me as well, now that you sort of put me onto one here,
Yeah,
see, you have the type of person that literally, when you hear them speak, all they speak about is politics and the news and fucking what's going on in China. And they'll literally list 10 things in a row, none of which they have any fucking control over.
yes, correct.
So, literally what they're doing, if you look at it from a psychological perspective, like they are utilizing, you've 80,000 thoughts a day, Shaggy, right? So if someone is literally thinking about things they can't control all day, they're just wasting their time. Like,
Yeah,
there's literally nothing. They are doing nothing with the energy that they expend throughout the day. Like,
yeah.
I mean, and that's not me judging people. Like, that is also, Shaggy, like the society and the culture that we've been brought up in, like a you know the news and negative media and all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. Like, but I mean, social media it really does have an effect on on people's mental health. Like, I mean, especially for both sexes, but especially females. Like, you see Instagram there and Facebook, and like you never see these 23-year-old Instagram models like putting up a photo of them like taking a shite. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yes,
like
yes, yes.
you never like
Um,
you you only see them when they get a new car, or
Yeah,
like. Go ahead.
I think social media is probably the one. And look here, there's no bigger fan of social media than myself. I absolutely love it, but I've sort of been trying to wean myself not to spend as much time on it. Now
Yeah,
I'm okay in the fact that I'm quite happy with what I have.
yeah,
Of course, everybody wishes they had something else and blah blah blah. But you have to be realistic too. But what you're saying there about some, yes, for both male, female, or whatever gender you want to specify as, it's a free world. You can do whatever
yeah,
you want. It is
yeah,
quite hard, and people you can sort of, I think whenever you start looking at somebody's life going, oh my God, look at the new car that he has or she has, you're
yeah, yeah,
automatically in a negative frame of mind. You're maybe wishing,
yeah,
maybe not wishing them bad, but you're sort of going, well, why can't I have that? And that leads you down a dark road, which sometimes you just can't
yeah.
come back from.
Going going from a state of want. So social media causes me anyway. See, when I go on social media and I see, uh, Jesus, Joe Blogs there has went and bought himself a 3 bedroom semi detached, and I'm living in a 2 bedroom,
Yeah,
and I don't really have that big of a lawn. Like, I go from a state of have to a state of want. Like, I automatically have a feeling of, and it creates emptiness. Like, but don't get me wrong, right? I like social media, so
yeah. So do I.
everything in moderation. Like,
Of course,
you
of
know,
course.
it's like everything in moderation. It's like if you find yourself that you're on social media, like, it just aimlessly scrolling through it, for
Yeah.
gratification, like, switch it up with something else. I mean, like, and it is hard to do because I try weaning myself off at the odd time, like, and trading it in for stuff, and those fucking apps are designed to catch your attention, like,
Keep you going,
um,
yeah. Um,
yeah,
because like I look, there's nobody loves a funny video more than myself, and that's really what all I use social media for is, excuse me,
yeah,
funny
humor.
videos. Yeah, humor. But yeah. So, but as I say, so well,
That's what it should be used for, though.
it should be, yeah, and keeping in touch with old friends and family
Yeah,
members that you
engaging.
can't see every day. But look, as we both said, we both like social media, but it does have the dark side, and not even having the feeling of want, but for example, you can put up, I could put up a photograph of my new car, and somebody will say,
Yeah.
oh, I hope he crashes it, or I hope look at him, look at, he's overweight, he'll not fit in that. It's not even so much that you sort of, and you shouldn't be scared. You shouldn't be scared to post stuff about your life, on social media. Yeah, there's people who live their whole
Yeah,
lives to it, which is fine, no problem. But I
yeah,
think,
yeah,
maybe I'm wrong, but I think, but as a preventive measure, my Facebook, Instagram is all private, so
yeah,
nobody can see my information that I don't want seeing. I'm sure there's ways around
yeah.
it, but I'm not that interested in person someone would want to hack my Facebook or Instagram account. Certainly nobody would want to steal my nudes. I wouldn't imagine.
Oh, yeah, you sent me a few. They're all right.
That's the part of Photoshop, but no, but you know what I mean. But yeah, so look, we'll keep cracking through here. Just from
Absolutely.
talking to you, Cahir, you actually dealt with some mental health issues yourself. Is that true, or?
Yeah. Aye. Another thing I would just say to you, Shaggy, like, in terms of, like, the mental health, what causes, like, alcohol and drugs is another big one. But I'm sure we'll touch on that. There's a whole range of things, like, I
Yeah,
mean, things that happened in the past, and, like, just per see if you develop her coping mechanisms, like, that's a big aspect of it,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
which I had myself.
yeah.
I when I so basically, like, if I take it right back, I don't even know if you remember, but when I was about 10 or 11, I was sick. I was sick for a couple of years, like, I was in
Yeah, I
hospital or
remember that. Yeah,
whatever.
remember. Yeah.
Yeah, and basically, through one way or another, ended up. Don't want to take this podcast downhill,
No,
Shaggy.
you're grand. You'll do that.
The mood the mood might lower here.
Oh no, it's, I don't worry. I'll bring
No,
it back up. Don't worry.
ended up. I don't want any violins either.
Uh,
Ended up in a Children's Mental Centre, Foster Green it was called, for a couple of months, basically with post-traumatic stress disorder.
Okay.
So came out of, and it was shite. No, there's no other way of saying it. Absolute dork. Didn't want to be in it, and didn't feel I needed to be in it. But in hindsight, everything through being in the Royal and stuff, it was where I needed to be. But anyway, got out. I think it was about 10 when I got out, and I don't know, like just growing up, like see after that, like it just really, really hit my self-esteem. My anxiety levels were sky high. I always thought I was sick, and I had a bit of depression.
Yeah.
So from about 11 to about 14, I went through every type of therapy, every type of counselling, EMDR, everything that you could name, like to try and make a bit of sense of things. Like so, but still couldn't really, it did help. But see, at that age, like I still wasn't able to make sense of myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it took me like on a very, not a conscious, like, but like a subconscious journey, like to understand myself.
Yeah.
I went and done a degree in public relations, sort of to help me communicate better, and it taught me absolutely fuck all. And then went and done that masters, and it taught me very little as well, because basically, no, it didn't. I would lie if I said it didn't teach me very little, but I didn't apply anything that I learned.
Yes.
So basically, long story short, I have a terrible up. Beatty said it last week as well, and he hit the nail on the head. I have and had a stinking relationship with Drinkla. Anytime, so I would have just used. Don't get me wrong. I could have went out and had a few pints with the lads and had a bit of crack, or went in the rip or whatever. But see, anytime I went in the beer, like, see, for about 3 or 4 days after, complete horrors. Like,
Yeah.
curtains down, no one talked to me, like, just complete hibernation. Like, so, yeah, so basically, when I was about 18, 19, reading The Secret, sort of looked into the power of attraction, visualization, got a bit of success with DJing, tried meditation, and to put a very long story short, basically found that alcohol wasn't for me. Meditation, journaling, reading, learning, being a boring cunt basically was the thing for me. And yeah, and I mean I naturally gravitated towards helping other people and assisting other people, through my life experiences, like, but a mad journey, like, but see, thank God, like,
Yeah.
like, see, the weird thing about it is, Shaggy, like, I wouldn't change a thing as well, because, like, see where I am now, and the motivation that you have and the mindset that you have,
Yeah.
Through all that sort of thing. I quit the drink about 5 months ago, because it was just getting to the stage where I wasn't enjoying it, like, so
Yeah.
I just
I know what you mean. Yeah.
hit it in the head, like, so since I hit that in the head, and I was grand before. I've always been a relatively content and happy person, like, in my later years, like, but that was really a game changer for me. Like, it gives me a bit of focus, gives me a bit of drive as well, and it also gives you a bit of drive, Shaggy. See the little bambino you have.
Yeah.
Gives you purpose, like.
It does. It does. It does.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, fair play for dealing with your issues. Unfortunately, some people can't. But do you, what? So what are the signs, right? For example, you see, within your own friends, if there's anybody you think, what are the signs that people who aren't maybe trained in the work of mental health, what are the signs that people can look out for? What changes in behavior? Just quick things. Maybe is it that they don't talk as much? Because or what are the things that if would you be looking out for? Say somebody you've been friends with for 10, 15 years and you know them inside out, and all of a sudden maybe they're acting a bit different, or they're
Yeah,
just not the same person. So what are the give me three or four signs that that the listeners can look out for? Maybe their group of friends, family member, or somebody they work with. It maybe could potentially save their life. So what are those?
yeah.
Give me three or four.
The big ones I've got. The big ones would be like, so we all have a, well, most of us would have a relatively immediate group of friends. So see within that group of friends, like a sudden lack of contact would be one. You know, I
Yeah,
think at the minute it's important that we, see the boys, like all the my boys. I'm sure they're all keeping in touch as much as they can.
yeah,
And the Blackwater lads, we would all have a WhatsApp group as well. Like if someone just randomly just floats out of the group, now I don't mean leaves the group, but
yeah,
just stops talking. You know, that's a relatively simple alarm bell there. Like,
yeah,
um, you've got other ones as well in terms of like sudden, personality changes in people as well. Like, and that can go both ways. That can go from someone that is a complete loudmouth to being to not talking at all, and then it can go the other way. Someone that is usually quite reserved, and all of a sudden, when they go out in the drink, they want to fucking jump off roofs. They want to
yeah,
go mental, and we have a couple of those mates. We have a couple of
yeah,
those mates anyway. You
yeah,
know, so personality changes would be another one. Uh, massive fluctuations in weight. So, like, say you see someone and you know, there's they've lost a pile of weight, or they've put on quite a bit of weight. You know, there's something there as well.
yeah,
Excessive alcohol use, excessive drug use, and then a big one, like, and this would be more like some of it requires a certain level of emotional intelligence as well. Like see if someone says something to you that like communicates like a real sense of low self worth. So
yeah,
like, you know what, fuck this, or fuck, I just don't know sometimes. You know,
yeah,
uh, things that really just communicate. A feeling of hopelessness and low self
yes,
esteem.
yeah,
Like they're the real telltale signs in terms of like in terms of suicide prevention, and like when for anyone that is worried about in them, number one, if they're worried themselves that they have any feelings of low self-worth, low self-esteem, low self-confidence, there's so much support available. uh, like, feel free to put my number up on this as well, Shaggy, if anyone wants to
yeah.
give
Of
me a call
course,
and give me a shout. Because,
of course.
like, I'm not saying I know all the answers. In fact, I know fuck all answers, but I won't
You
be
know,
long in finding out the answers.
yeah. Um,
Uh,
yeah, I think that's a good point that you make. I think a lot of people, you know, they maybe don't think, maybe they don't say math themselves, but I think everybody does at some stage in their life, obviously more than once, at some stage in life, they sort of sit back and go, you know what, I'm just not at myself. And there
yeah,
is, everybody in their lives will think, I should have done this, I should have done that. And this is a thing that look, without trying to be too controversial here, sometimes I think people can nearly fake a mental illness. For example,
yeah,
if maybe they're just lazy and they don't want to go to work. Oh, I can't
yeah,
go to work because I'm depressed, and it must be very hard in your area of work to say you're not really depressed, you're just lazy, or you need a new,
yeah,
like, for example, what I do is, so you sort of, because it's very easy to get stuck in a rut. I think you
yeah.
when you sort of move out of home and you have your own house and you get a job, you sort of get stuck in a rut that you've nothing. It's just,
Absolutely.
is this my life forever? So what I do is,
That's
and
what
it's a
it is.
thing I started a few years ago. I'm going to pick one new thing I'm going to do every year. So that was my goal, and it was never nothing. It was never anything mental like I'm going to climb Mount Everest. It was like, this year I'm going to write a poem. Or no, I didn't actually
Yeah.
write a poem,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? Something so simple. And I've sort of then I moved it up to two things. There were goals that were achievable, and I gave myself a 12-month time frame. So it wasn't like, right, I'm going to do this in January, I'm going to do this in February. You know, in case there was something that happened in my life that I couldn't do it, and then it's another feeling of
Deadly.
failure. So
Yeah.
this year, one of them was I had three things I wanted to do. Was one was to become a father, which I put the groundwork in last year for it. It came in
Yo.
it came into
You
it
put
came
in a
into
good shift.
put in a good shift. Came into fruition this year. Thank God.
Good man.
The other one was to start a podcast, which is what I'm doing right now. My third one was I was going to do an open mic night at like a stand up comedy thing, but that I don't think that's going to happen now. But that's not a feeling of failure. That's just
That's a good
ex-
one.
extenuating circumstances.
Yeah.
And I definitely think sometimes people are afraid of failure, and that's one thing I've never really been afraid of. And I think
Yeah.
people are afraid of
Such a
failure,
good mindset to have.
and I think you need a no matter who you are in life, I don't care. Like, there's a fantastic documentary in it, "The Last Dance." Michael Jordan. I don't know if you've been watching it
Class.
on Netflix.
Unreal.
His mindset is unbelievable. Like, he win at all
Isn't
costs,
it?
but he didn't win every game. He didn't win the NBA title every year. So he failed, but he came back harder, stronger, better. And I think that's what I think so much the new sort of like the generation of youth are such afraid of failure. They're such afraid of the word no. Whereas like
Yeah.
whenever I left tech, I always wanted to be an accountant. Accounting was all I ever wanted to be in my life.
Yeah.
Went and done a night class in accountancy, passed those exams, and then went, you know what, I don't want to be an accountant. So I was stuck on a
Yeah.
crossroads in life going, what the hell am I going to do? So I went, you know what, I'm just going to start applying for jobs I like the sound of. And I've been in the same company 10 years now. I'm not doing the same job that I applied for 10 years ago, but I've moved
Yeah.
on
But it's
progressively,
still
you know. But
that
people,
causes like there's so much see making that move though, Shaggy, like because when I got the masters, my thing was I want to go and do lecture and I want to be a lecturer in communication and psychology. That was my goal. And like see that ability to say, you know what, fuck this. This isn't gonna work for me. I don't you know, and you feel it in your yeah, like you just know in your soul, like
yeah,
I cannot progress with this. Like it see people that make that jump, like I have so much respect for them. Like
yeah.
and I would encourage everyone to adopt that mindset as well. Like
Um,
um
because I do think we live in a generation of if it's broke, throw it out. You know, there's so many relationships now, especially in young people. If it doesn't work, there's a slight bump on the road. It's
yeah,
good luck, move on to the next one. There's none of this, right? This is where we went wrong. Let's see how we can fix it. And I'm going to go back
yeah,
to be auditioning for the stand up comedian thing, or to do
class.
the. You know what? I would probably fall on my ass and I wouldn't get a laugh. I would get booed off stage. But you know what? Something. I'm not up there to try and become a comedian. It's a challenge, and if I stand up, it's a brave thing to do.
100%.
And you know what? I can come up and say, you know what? I give it a try.
Yeah,
It's might be something I want to pursue, or you know what? Nah, it's definitely not for me. So I definitely
that's
would
what the
think.
growth is.
Yeah, so I think that's what people look. I don't know. I don't know the answers at all. I'm not a mental health professional. I don't claim to be. I just telling here what I do for my mental health well-being, and
Yeah,
that is set myself goals because there's nothing better than when you set yourself a goal, and it can be something so simple like I'm going to walk 5 mile in a month, and you write that
yeah,
down and you do it. Like 5 mile in a month is not big. I'm only just an example, but it gives you that feeling of accomplishment, you know. And I think that's what a lot of people miss, and they go looking for it in social media with likes and shares and all
yeah.
this jazz. And I think that's fake. So they need to start. Self esteem's a massive thing, I think, anyway. So. Car, you sort of alluded to it at the start. You mentioned meditation. I've seen you online talk about meditation. So, just for the listeners out there, just a quick minute, 2 minutes on meditation techniques and where do you go and get meditation material? I'm sure it's available on YouTube, whatever.
Headspace. Headspace would be the place to start. There's a wee app you can download on any Android or iPhone, and it brings you from A to Z. Like you couldn't beat it. I was like, if someone had told me a couple of years ago that I would be meditating, journaling, and taking into putting into practice all those sort of mindfulness and mental wellness techniques. I would laugh at them. Like meditation really just slows down your thoughts and see throughout all the chatter of the day, like that will go through your head and then will go on throughout the world. Like see for those
Yeah.
10 minutes, just chill the beans, you
Yeah.
know. And it's a game changer, Shaggy. It really is. I mean, and then there's people as well that if you don't like being led by a voice as such, guided meditation. There's also tutorials on YouTube that you can type in non-guided meditation that essentially will give you pointers on how you can literally sit in a room with no music, no sound for 10 minutes. A lot of people prefer
Um,
that. But go on ahead.
as you know, I would be into dance music quite a lot. Massive interest, and there's a group above and beyond. They actually have an album called Flow State,
Class.
and it's very chilled out music. But
Yeah.
there's like a talking bit where there's this woman
Yeah.
talking, and she almost talks you through like a breathing technique. And
Yeah.
look, during lockdown, it's been fantastic for me. Obviously, with the massive change in my life of a new baby coming in, you just need to
Yeah.
switch off for
Yeah.
5-10 minutes. So there's a lovely walk around Darlahan football field around the washing bay, but you don't go there now.
Jerry Lahamba.
There's a million flies, man. It's unbelievable. So at the start, but you just stuck the headphones in and just walk around because it's lovely because you're out on Loch Ness and you can see
Yeah.
the lovely scenery and all. So it was good just to
Yeah.
chill the beans.
Yeah.
Now, anybody listening,
Me.
don't be rushing to the washing bay and get shut down. If you do, you're all dead.
The main thing I would say, like just before we wrap up, Jaggy, like I mean, for
Yeah.
anyone, see, you were talking there about aims, like, and another thing I would say is I don't have all the answers, but see, coming from a perspective of being, you know, giving yourself the chance to learn, giving yourself the chance to grow, and having a growth mindset.
Yeah.
That's where the beauty is there. Like, I mean, see, the minute that you walk around and you think that you know everything, you're absolutely screwed. Like,
Yeah.
you'll never develop. Like, and there's so many people like that. I used to
Yeah.
be one of those people. Like,
Yeah.
I have all the answers. Like, having, as you say, like you've hit the nail on the head. Like, aims and objectives. Like clinical psychologists, there's a guy called Jordan B. Peterson that I would advise anyone to look up. And basically, see, in terms of your psychology, there's such a link between poor mental health and a lack of aims, purpose, and objectives. And as small as you want them to be as well, they can be anything. As long as you are going in a direction. See, if you're sitting there and you're just floating aimlessly, your brain doesn't know what to do. Like, I mean, what function does it have if it doesn't feel as if it's serving a purpose? I mean, that is one thing. Like, see those goals, see having goals and objectives, like, and meditation, journaling. There's so many tools that you can use, and different things work for different people. But yeah, we need to take care of the brain the same way we do our body. Like, it's all one.
Yeah, I would definitely second that. And look, just before we finish here as well, I personally think anybody that has the guts, the nerve to go to a friend, family member, a professional, even a random stranger, and go, look, I need help.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most bravest things that anybody can do because the stigma needs broken, and I think it slowly is. People do talk about it more these days, but I think especially with men, maybe like even lads in around my age, 30 years of age, we're sort of the last. Even yourself, I'm going to include you in this bracket. You're sort of the last of the generation where you're expected to be a man's man and you fit to do this and fit through that. So I think people just need to. And like mental health isn't the fact that you need to go to a mental hospital or you're depressed.
No.
Mental health can be anxiety. A lot of famous people struggle with anxiety. And look, there is fountains of knowledge online of how to deal with anxiety. Like for example, I'm very very lucky to have a sister who's doctor in psychology. So, for example,
Yeah.
when I was feeling a bit stressed about
Uh-huh.
and I was freaking out. COVID-19 was in full effect. I had a newborn on the
Yeah.
way, and she just sent me through a couple of wee like meditation things, and it just chilled me
Class.
out. Brought it, you know what? For the 3 minutes that I could concentrate, I was grand, and the rest of the 23 hours was just complete mayhem. But my sister gave me a fantastic technique that I use every day. So I'm just going to share it with you, get your thoughts on it. So, for example, she says,
Yeah.
um, everybody worries about stuff. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're the richest person in the world or the poorest person in the world, or you've the best lifestyle or the worst lifestyle, right? She says. So if you're worried about anything, so she says, for example, if you can't help but worry and stress over things, goes schedule an hour in your day, right? Where this, so for example, you come home from work, you have your tea at 6 p.m. She goes from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Let your mind run wild about your worries and your stress and what you're worried about, whether it's financial strain or you maybe falling out with your
Uh-huh.
wife, husband. And she goes, in that hour, let your
Yeah.
thoughts run wild. And then whenever that hour is up, forget about it.
That's
And
class.
it works really well. Because you're always constantly trying to put those thoughts out of your mind, but they keep coming in. So if you let them in and
Unreal.
let them have their time, then just push them out. And now
Yeah.
it sounds easier than what it is, and some people can't do that, but
Yeah.
it works for me. So look, as I
Yeah.
say, Cahir, thank you very much for coming on.
No problem at
Look,
all. But
as I
keep it
say,
simple, boy.
keep it simple. Hopefully somebody listens to this. Hopefully they maybe reach out if they need help. Look, as I say,
Uh,
I'm I
uh,
I'm not a mental health professional, but if you want to contact Cahir, message me and I'll pass on your details. Or if you know somebody, if you know somebody that you think needs help, pass it on and I'll give it to Cahir or contact Cahir directly. I'll put his details up when I'm posting the audio. So Cahir, thank you very much for being on the Middle Eastern Throne podcast.
good
It's been
man,
it's
Jackie
been an
here.
absolute pleasure.
Time to talk.
It's time to talk, and it's okay not to be okay. And look,
That's it,
uh,
boy.
and no doubt I'll have you on again some stage. But yeah, I'm gonna download the Headspace app because that's you and Stephen Beatty have recommended it. So I'm gonna give
And
it
a
a shot.
journal.
And a what? Sorry.
And a journal you buy you. You maybe already have one, do you?
Oh, a journal and just record how your day's been, all that jazz.
Or maybe when I used to think of a journal, I used to think of, a wee girl with pigtails out the back, writing down her thoughts.
Exactly.
No,
Exactly.
get the journal, boy.
The what is it? I don't understand what you're saying. The journal?
A journal. A journal as in like a wee book. There's like
Oh,
basically a book that you plan out your day. Yeah.
oh, right. I
You
get you.
think
Get you. I get you. I would call that a dairy, but sure. Anyway, right.
I am American.
You're American, right?
Yeah.
Cahir, thanks very much for being on. Look, no doubt we'll have you on again, and I'll chat to you real soon. Look after yourself and stay safe. All right, Cahir.
Appreciate it, lad.
All right,
Talk to you
cheers.
later. Good luck.
Bye bye. And that's Cahir Clancy. He's a mentor for People First dealing with mental health issues. And as I say, look, this is probably a bit more serious than the other podcasts. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's okay not to be okay. Look, nothing to be ashamed of. Everybody has their struggles. Everybody has their strife. So, um, never be afraid to speak up. We'll all go through tough times. So yeah, this is all. That's all for me this week. Hopefully release a regular podcast in the next couple of days as well. So stay safe, wash your hands. Peace out. One love. Bye bye.